his might. Chapter 5. Blood begins flowing freely from Tenma's head, where Takizo's wooden sword connected. Takizo rises to his feet, ready for battle, his eyes burning with determination. He declares that leaving Hanaiden village was the right decision. He's no longer the boy he once was. Tenma, realizing his carelessness, thinks he underestimated Takizo by dismissing him as just a child. Seeing an opportunity while Takizo repositions himself, Tenma attempts to flee. He bursts out of the house and runs toward the forest, his pride abandoned in favor of survival. Takizo gives chase, his voice cutting to the night air. How can a leader flee from battle? His words strike at Tenma's honor, but the bandit leader is beyond caring about reputation now. Tenma thinks to himself that it's better to retreat now and seek revenge later when he's better prepared. Fear has taken root in Tenma's heart. He admits to himself that he's never encountered anyone like Takizo. The boy's gaze is like that of a devil or a wild beast, inhuman, terrifying, promising death. Exhausted from running, Tenma glances back and sees a sight that freezes his blood. Takizo is above him, wooden sword raised high, descending like divine judgment. Takizo brings a wooden sword down with every ounce of his strength, striking Tenma's skull with such force that it splits open. The supposedly harmless wooden sword has become an instrument of death in Takizo's hands. After the killing blow, Takizo stands there, processing what he's done. He's killed Tenma with nothing but a wooden sword. Something has changed within him. He's become like a beast, his eyes reflecting nothing but bloodlust and violence. As he returns from the forest toward the house, he finds Matahachi outside, surrounded by the corpses of gang members he's killed. Matahachi asks if the gang members put up any real fight. Takizo responds that even the boss wasn't anything special. Then Matahachi makes a bold announcement to the night air. We are Matahachi and Takizo from Hanaiden village. Takizo can defeat anyone. In a moment of bizarre celebration, they place their hands on each other's shoulders and begin dancing among the corpses, their laughter echoing through the darkness. Oko watches from a distance, thinking these two are like children playing with death, unable to comprehend the gravity of what they become. Matahachi then proudly announces that he has killed 4 people, as if keeping score in some terrible game. Chapter 6. Matahachi sits outside in the moonlight. He questions himself about how he can sleep. He thinks he'll kill Tsuchike's Kohei too. Today was the first time in his life. He killed someone, remembering his fight. He thinks about how he's 17 years old, no longer a child but a man. He looks at the room in front of him. He knows Oko is in that room, and he wants to have sex with her. He opens her room's gate and enters. Oko is sleeping. Matahachi, nervous, removes his clothes and climbs on top of Oko. As he moves to kiss her, she asks who he is, Takizo or Matahachi. Hearing this, he becomes nervous. He reminds himself that he's a man who has killed 4 people. He identifies himself as Takizo and begins having sex with her. He questions himself about why he said that and what he's doing. Oko realizes it's Matahachi. She tells Matahachi she thought he had more balls. In the next scene, Takizo, Akemi, and Matahachi are washing clothes in a river. Matahachi is sad. He questions why he used Takizo's name last night. He apologizes to Atsu. Then he tells Takizo they should leave for their village Hanaiden today. While they're talking, members of Tsuchike's gang approach Oko. They warn each other to be careful of Takizo and Matahachi. Their boss is dead, so they can do whatever they want with Oko. Oko tells them she misses them and asks them to take her advice and leave. Matahachi, hearing this, feels Takizo has made plans to stay with Akemi and Oko. Takizo tells him that the day he left his village, he decided he wouldn't return. He picks up a thick log and declares himself a vagabond. Then Takizo notices members of Tsuchike's gang approaching from behind. Chapter 7. Akemi tells him her mother is still at home. Seeing this, Takizo advises Akemi to stay there. Takizo and Matahachi both run toward the house. Akemi stands there, remembering Takizo's words, want to stay with Takizo. Takizo runs incredibly fast, leaving Matahachi far behind. The scene reveals several gang members inside the house. Takizo, still running, charges straight inside. Matahachi stops outside after seeing so many horses. He realizes entering the house means certain death. Then he remembers he left his sword inside the house. Takizo is inside asking about Oko. Bandits have surrounded him from all sides, and they've realized he's the one who killed Tenma. They can't believe a child killed Tenma. They don't want this news to spread, or Tsujike's gang's reputation will be ruined. One bandit approaches Takizo with a sword. Takizo blocks his attack with his bare hand. Another bandit attacks from the side with a spear. Takizo pulls a caught bandit in front of the spear, and it pierces through him. Meanwhile, Matahachi stands outside, completely drenched in sweat. He doesn't understand why he can't go inside. He thinks to himself, if he doesn't go in now, he killed 4 people just yesterday. Despite being the same age and from the same village, why does he always feel inferior to Takizo? He makes up his mind to go inside and kill those bandits. He counts to 3 to enter. After finishing the count, he runs toward the house when he hears a voice from behind. It's Oko's voice. She tells him she wasn't feeling well inside. So she came out, and that's when the gang members entered. Matahachi has grabbed Oko by the shoulder and notices she's trembling. She tells Matahachi she's still shaking because she knows Tenma liked her and she's terrified. Saying this, she embraces Matahachi, and they both fall to the ground. Inside, Takizo is fighting. He's cutting down everyone one by one with his sword. He's already sent 2 or 4 bandits to their deaths. A bandit attacks him with a sword. Takizo tries to block with his sword, but it breaks. He shoves the broken sword into that bandit's head. Another bandit attacks from behind with a spear, tearing Takizo's clothes. With one sword strike, Takizo cuts off that bandit's head. He calls out to Matahachi, asking if he's alive. To respond if he is. Takizo continues killing all the bandits one by one while his friend Matahachi is with Oko. Evening approaches, and Takizo has sent all the bandits to their deaths. The room is filled with corpses. Outside the room, there are more bodies that crows are feeding on. As he's leaving, he notices Oko's hairband and Matahachi's clothes. He realizes where Matahachi is. Chapter 8. A child is doing his business when he sees someone and gets scared. Frightened, he runs to his granny. The granny asks about his work. The child tells her he has important news for her. The granny slaps him twice and says he belongs to the Hanaiden family, which is very hard-working, and he shouldn't ruin their reputation. The child tells her he saw Shinmen Takizo. This granny is Matahachi's mother. The granny becomes very serious. In her joy, she shouts Matahachi and runs toward her house. She asks the villagers if her Matahachi has returned. A boy tells her it's been a year since Matahachi left. She should forget about him. The old granny beats him too. She says if he's returned, it means Matahachi must have returned too. The granny beats everyone there with her stick, telling them to find her son. Otsu sits thinking she cannot forget Matahachi. Even if Otsu has someone else, she should know about Matahachi's return. At this time, someone is watching the granny from the bushes. She prays that Matahachi is alive. She thinks if Takizo hadn't dragged Matahachi to war, he would have been married by now and would be the Hanaiden family heir. She searches for Takizo, hoping he hasn't come here without Matahachi. As she goes to meet the Shinmen family, she encounters samurai on the way. The granny has never seen these samurai before. They're searching for someone. When they approach someone, the samurai asks the granny if she's from the Shinmen family. The granny asks why they're asking. They tell her they're looking for someone named Takizo who broke through the border and fled, and Takizo has killed 2 of their samurai. The granny asks if Takizo was alone or with her son Matahachi. The samurai tell her he came here alone. Hearing this, the granny breaks down and falls to the ground. She searches for Takizo. The samurai understands that Matahachi must have died in battle. They advise the granny to forget about Matahachi. The granny holds Takizo responsible for Matahachi's death and helps the samurai capture Takizo. Other samurai are also searching for him. Then a beautiful girl passes by them. This girl is Otsu. From the samurai's conversation, it's clear they've been chasing Takizo for several days but haven't had any success. The granny tells the samurai this isn't surprising. She explains that when Takizo was 13, he killed a man, a martial artist. Gradually, he became violent and eventually dragged Matahachi into war with him. The granny thinks about why Takizo survived, but her Matahachi couldn't. As she's leaving, the samurai find another body that Takizo killed. From the warmth of the dead body, they estimate Takizo hasn't gone far. Seeing this, she becomes frightened and starts to leave. Just then, Takizo emerges from the bushes in front of Otsu. Seeing him, Otsu gets scared and screams. Takizo, seeing this, runs away. The samurai arrives and asks Otsu if she's okay. Otsu can't believe her eyes, that she saw Takizo in person. Chapter 9. This chapter begins at Shippoji Temple. Captain Aoki and his samurai have stopped at the temple. The granny tells them it's not surprising they couldn't catch Takizo. She further says Takizo spent his childhood in the mountains and can survive in any condition. He can live on rabbits, birds, even tree bark. He'll always evade these samurai. If he reaches the mountains once, catching him will be impossible. Takizo sits in the forest eating something when he sees some villagers passing by with sticks in their hands. Seeing them, he runs away. Then a villager appears in front of him who has already seen Takizo. Before the villager can say anything, Takizo tells him that Matahachi is alive and to tell this to the granny. That's all he wants. Once this message reaches the granny, he'll leave from here. Then Takizo notices the villagers approaching him. He grabs a person by the mouth and asks why the villagers are helping the samurai. After learning about the village, he hits the person in the face and tells him to inform the granny and Otsu at Shippoji Temple that Matahachi is alive and won't return to Miyamoto Village. Takizo can't tell them that Matahachi ran away with a woman. He kicks the person in the rear and lets him go. The person, freed from Takizo, runs to the villagers and informs them about Takizo's presence. The granny is at Shippoji Temple and tells Captain Aoki that she's Matahachi's mother and her name is Osugi. Takizo took Matahachi with him to the Battle of Sekigahara, and he still hasn't returned. The leader asks about the girl standing beside the granny. The granny tells him it's Otsu, Matahachi's fiancé. Captain Aoki doesn't like Otsu. The granny says Otsu hates Takizo as much as she does. To confirm whether she hates him or not, the granny has to vouch for her, saying Otsu's behavior should be forgiven. She explains that Otsu is an orphan who doesn't understand manners well. Although she's 17, she doesn't know how the world works. She explains to Otsu that if she wants to become the Hanaiden family's daughter-in-law, she needs to improve her behavior. Night has fallen, and the granny is praying for Matahachi's safety. She cries remembering her son and has the illusion that her son and Takizo have come to her house. But when she looks, only Takizo is standing there. At this time, Otsu is at Shippoji Temple playing the flute. The captain tells her Matahachi must have died in some battle by now. This angers Otsu. He tells her to leave and that he doesn't need her. He says Otsu is engaged and will become the Hanaiden family's daughter-in-law, that Matahachi is dead and she should leave. She leaves from there, feeling ashamed because she's nothing but a failure. Now in the room, Captain Aoki and Otsu are sitting. The captain tells Otsu that men die quickly in war, and Matahachi was just a foot soldier with a spear anyway. Otsu tells the captain that Matahachi is as strong as Takizo. The captain says Takizo will eventually be caught and killed by his men, and she should accept that Matahachi is dead. Saying this, he pounces on Otsu and suggests they have some fun. Otsu tries to escape and kicks the captain in the head, knocking him unconscious. She runs away saying she belongs to Matahachi. Running from there, she remembers Matahachi. It's been almost a year since Matahachi left, and she can't even remember his face anymore. Seeing her, someone approaches and apologizes for not being able to do anything. He gives Otsu a letter specifically addressed to her. Otsu doesn't understand who would send a letter to an orphan like her. Meanwhile, Takizo stands before the granny wanting to tell her something. The granny is very angry at Takizo and attacks him with a knife. She tells Takizo she'll kill him first and then kill herself. As she moves forward to attack Takizo, he tells her that Matahachi is alive, and that's what he came here to tell her. She asks Takizo why he didn't return. She holds Takizo responsible for taking Matahachi to the Battle of Sekigahara. She asks why Matahachi isn't here and how did Kizo dare to come here alone. Takizo doesn't answer Granny. The Granny, while hitting Takizo, tells him to return her Matahachi. Then Takizo tells the truth, that Matahachi is living with another woman in another province. The Granny is shocked. Meanwhile, Otsu has also opened the letter. She has 2 letters, one from Oko telling Otsu to forget Matahachi, and another from Matahachi telling her to forget him and live her life happily. After reading this, Otsu finally remembers Matahachi's face. After reading these letters, she's devastated. She tears up the letters and questions herself. She becomes so distraught that she cuts herself and starts crying. The Granny apologizes to Takizo and advises him to come to her house, so no one notices him. She gives Takizo Matahachi's clothes too. She tells him he must have been living in the mountains for several days and must be hungry. Why doesn't she make something for him to eat while he bathes and changes clothes? Takizo asks why she's doing this. The Granny, crying, says she's Matahachi's mother and Takizo is her son's friend. Takizo accepts the Granny's offer. The Granny asks about his future plans. He tells the Granny he'll wander the country as a swordsman to polish his skills. Takizo says he's been trapped. He notices that Aoki and his men have surrounded the house. Aoki thanks the Granny and orders his soldiers to block all escape routes. Takizo is very angry. First, he took her son to war, then came alone to Miyamoto village, and now has the audacity to tell the Granny that her son is with another woman in another province. The Granny thinks she won't believe Takizo's lie. She'll only believe that Matahachi is alive. Takizo breaks down the door and comes out naked with his wooden sword. He stands before Captain Aoki and his soldiers. He asks the Granny if this was all her plan. The Granny tells him to surrender. Even if he surrenders, he'll get the death penalty and his head will be cut off. The villagers stand with the soldiers. Aoki orders them. A soldier moves forward and attacks Takizo. Takizo attacks him with his wooden sword and knocks him to ground. Seeing this, all the villagers and soldiers standing there are shocked. Takizo tells them if they've come to fight, they should come with the intention to kill. If they want to kill him, Takizo will kill them before dying himself. Takizo is fighting Captain Aoki's soldiers while Otsu is walking through the streets cursing Matahachi. And with this, the volume ends.